All-Pro awards are fertile soil for debate, and this split was no different in North America, especially in the mid lane position where Perkz was awarded first team honors after finishing only 12 points ahead of PowerofEvil in the voting. TSM fans naturally feel a bit robbed, and depending how you approach the question, they might have a case. Perkz received 34 points from third-party media voters, while PowerofEvil only received 20 points from that group. Among broadcast and production team votes, Perkz and PowerofEvil tied with 35 points each, while votes from team representatives gave Perkz 36 points and PowerofEvil 38. So if third-party media was excluded from the voting, PowerofEvil would have edged out Perkz for the first team spot 73 points to 71. If you think that casters and coaches cast better votes than content creators, or if you're just a PowerofEvil fan, you can go complain to all your friends about this one. Or you could look at the ballots and see that I'm one of the media who put Perkz above PowerofEvil when I voted on behalf of Oracle's Elixir, while Travis put PowerofEvil ahead of Perkz. So we were even divided on this choice inside the Runit crew. Obviously, the best way to settle our disagreement was with a Runit investigation, so let's take a closer look at our two candidates. The game starts at Champion Select, so here's PowerofEvil's champion pool from the regular season. 5 champions, with 15 games on a 3-champion Control Mage core, 2 losses on Corki, and a win on Seraphine. Now here's Perkz. Playing 13 different champions in 18 games and winning on 9 of them is not only highly impressive, it also provides a ton of value for the team, especially going into the playoffs, where it makes it vastly more difficult for your opponents to prepare draft plans against you. In the lane phase, Perkz came out with far stronger golden experience numbers than PoE, with the 3rd highest GXD10 among mid laners compared to PoE ranking 9th out of 12. You could point out that Perkz was given counterpick in 15 out of 18 games, but then you also need to point out that PowerofEvil counterpicked 12 times, 2nd most out of any mid laner, and he still only played the same 5 champions all split. Comparing the resources both players were working with, we can see that Perkz and PowerofEvil generated the same gold share, but PoE picked up a lot more of his team's post 15-minute CS. This is mostly because TSM prefer to play through 1 or 2 lanes at a time, and PoE's control mages are relied on for wave clear. Perkz picked up a similar amount of actual CS, but Cloud9 tend to spread themselves across the map more, so Perkz was grabbing more side lane farm and creating more proactive map pressure, at the cost of making C9 more vulnerable to pick attempts and collapses. And now we come to damage output, which is where PowerofEvil really shines with his late game teamfighting on his scaling control mages, right? Well, PowerofEvil finished 3rd in damage share, only behind 2 players who played partial splits, and he finished 3rd in damage per minute, tied with Perkz. Good numbers, but not the statistical standout you might have expected. To me, the numbers tell a pretty clear story of who performed better over the duration of the spring regular season. But there's another big reason that I voted Perkz as first team All-Pro, and it comes down to playstyle. Because of the way he plays, PowerofEvil's mistakes often go unnoticed, because they are sins of omission, not commission. In other words, PoE tends to make mistakes that involve not doing something he should have done, while Perkz tends to make mistakes that involve doing something. When PoE chooses to stay in his lane and catch another minion wave instead of stepping into the river with his jungler to apply some pressure, it can cost his team an opportunity to create a lead. But unless you're closely studying the minion waves and PoE's positioning on the minimap, you won't notice it. PoE could miss out on half a dozen of those opportunities every game without being penalized at all in public perception, while an overreaching Azir ultimate from Perkz will stick in the voters' minds for weeks.
Back into the rest of his team, but now the counterattack is true, the pull is there. Perkz, what are you doing?
When PoE does step up and make a play, it's usually a big teamfight carry moment like a Shurima Shuffle or a Swoop and Scoop or an Azir ultimate, and those positive plays are very memorable. So you can see how perception can quickly swing in favor of a player who plays PowerofEvil's style, with high points that are easy to see and remember, and low points that fade into the background.
From Evil Geniuses with the AoE damage coming down, PowerofEvil taking the kill on the enemy jungler here right at the very start, making a 1-for-1, 1-for-2. TSM's coming in with a double kill for the Emperor. Oh, baby, it's TSM! A quadra kill for PowerofEvil!
I don't have an issue with people voting PowerofEvil as the first team mid laner this split. In the end, it comes down to what you value, and his late game teamfighting was really clutch and really important for TSM this season. I also noticed that he coordinated with Spica in the lane phase a lot better as the regular season played on. So he deserves credit for all of that, but I personally value pressure, proactivity, and versatility very highly, and if you're watching for those things, I don't think there's much debate that Perkz was the better player this split.
What is your favorite type of pie? Well, if you answered cherry, and even if you didn't answer cherry, boy do I have some good news for you. Alienware has now done the first ever mechanical keyboard laptop situation as a collaboration with Cherry. So when you guys hear about like Cherry keys or whatever, you can now get those on as an upgrade, an optional upgrade on the M15 and M17 laptops. It's just got announced this week as I'm filming this outro. So go check them out over at alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the description below. But it's kind of cool because, you know, a lot of people, they don't, especially gamers, they want that kind of mechanical feel. And now you can actually get that in a laptop, which normally you can't. So it's really cool that Alienware has been able to do this with Cherry. You can go find out more information about it on the Alienware site. And I had thought about getting some cherry pie and eating it in this outro. And then I just I didn't get around to it. And sometimes I worry about my lack of commitment to really making these outros as great as I envision them to be.